It's an extremely toxic, dangerous material that needs to be eradicated, and it needs to be taken out of the stream. Modern technology has certainly replaced asbestos with other formulas that are equally as good in fire retardant and fire prevention, and that's the direction that we need to go. So many workers in industry then and today are still being exposed to it. Some by accident will come by asbestos, not understanding that it's asbestos, and will be exposed to it. A lot of workplaces have been tested and have been found to have high degrees of asbestos in there because of insulation that has broken loose and broken open, and the particulates will float through the air.
It became apparent to both the company and the union that asbestos was going to be a problem, and that we should be doing something about it. So with that, the safety committee delegated myself and Ike Bossy, my partner, to do a catalog all uses of asbestos, and we identified with the company what we were doing. At that time, we started cataloging all the uses and applications of asbestos. We started up in Warfield, and we got about 2/3 of the way through the plant when Kenny Giorgetti and Guy Downey called us in, and we had a meeting with the company, and they put together an asbestos removal program at Cominco. Worked in concert with each other. In fact, put together how we were going to do it and who was going to do it, and they established an asbestos removal crew. It was very proactive. We should say that at that point in time, I took an industrial hygiene course through the WCB, and asbestos was high on their agenda of removal. So that's one of the issues that got us to identify the uses of Cominco, and ultimately the removal of it all.
My name is Gordon Manalaz. I'm the Health and Safety Chair for Local 480 of the United Steelworkers based here in Trail. One of the biggest problems I see with our asbestos program is the amount of exposures we continue to have on our property. This is not a problem that developed 50 years ago and we've gotten rid of it and now we're having lung problems or lung diseases. It's a problem that is ongoing on our property as well. In my opinion, we haven't done a very good job of managing our asbestos program. Up until now, we've sort of adopted a program of just to fix and not remove. And in my opinion, we need to donate more personnel to our asbestos program. We need to donate more money to our asbestos program. We need to take on a program that removes all the asbestos and gets rid of it off our property. I think that's the only way that we'll be able to stop our exposures. We've had upwards of 50 exposures so far this year due to asbestos. It is not a problem that's going to go away. So I hope that this company will realize that it's a serious problem, not only with pensioners of the past, but for current employees. And our current employees with these asbestos exposures are going to have significant problems somewhere down the line.
And now to see, a man in his 50s with a young family and grandchildren, and to see what he has to go through just to walk somewhere, just to get by, and the pain that he suffers, it's a terrible exposure. It's one that doesn't need to happen. It's one that needs to be addressed by governments. It's one that needs to be addressed by underwriters, including workers' compensation and WorkSafe, and it's one that can be eradicated. It takes an effort. It's going to cost some money, but at the end of the day, the cost to humanity and the cost to society on just the quality of life that you're going to give to people who should be gardening and playing with their grandchildren, and instead they're debilitated, they can't breathe, they're coughing, they're bringing up fluids, including blood from their lungs, and it's a very sad exposure to the families and to the people themselves and to the grandchildren that no longer have the quality of life with their grandparents because of it.
And Linda, you were married to Buddy, obviously.
Yes.
Who at what point did Buddy did you find out that he had an asbestos-related disease?
It was June of '97.
Okay, and how long were you together before that?
We were married in '81.
In '81, okay. And how did that affect things? I mean, obviously once once you found out?
I think the most difficult part was telling the kids. That was the hardest.
Yeah.
Because how do you tell your kids their dad's going to die? You know, and we had to tell them. You can't not, you know, tell them the truth.
He was how old again when he was diagnosed?
50.
50 years old. From the time he was diagnosed until things really got serious.
When he passed away, you mean?
Yeah.
He passed away in 2000, so 3 years.
3 years. 3 years, and that quality of life was absolutely horrible.
Actually, once he had his surgery done, he was good for maybe a year and a half, and he was really good. But then the shortness of breath started and everything else. So he had good quality once he had the surgery, but I mean, it wasn't a guarantee. You're just, you know, getting extra time. That was it. Sent over to Kelowna. They did a biopsy, and that was the result of the biopsy.
Okay, and that was mesothelioma?
Yes.
Okay.
We got a Christmas card at Christmas addressed to Bud, which I absolutely flipped out on after he passed away. So I had to do some detective work to find out who sent it. So that was upsetting for me, but the reason I did it was because I didn't want somebody else to have to go through the same thing, because it's very upsetting that somebody that you worked for wouldn't know that.
Yeah, after all those years. That you know what, that just is incredible to me. That
It
they
is.
do that.
It is. And it's not a big, we were not in a big town. I had got, you know, Gail Heslop. She came with me when we had to sign papers and everything to Kaminko. And one of the papers was that I had to sign was saying that Kaminko was not responsible for what had happened to him. And I looked at them and I said, you gotta be kidding me. I have to sign that piece of paper saying that you guys didn't do this? I would not sign. They said, well, then we have to hold his last paycheck. I said, you can have his last paycheck, I don't care. But I will not sign that piece of paper.
That's incredible.
It is
That
incredible.
Absolutely incredible.
And they'll deny it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They'll deny it. But that's the honest to goodness truth. Because Gail was with me, and she says, well, maybe you should sign. I said, I'm not signing. For what? When it's a lie. You know, it's... You know, like, I mean, these are good people.
Yeah.
They worked hard for the company to get it where it is now, and you're just abandoning them. I just don't get it. I don't get how they're